Welcome, Pathfinders, to another edition of Booster Bestiary. My name's Dustin Knight, and I'm here to make a Pathfinder 2nd Edition monster for you using a random assortment of booster packs, mostly Magic the Gathering and other various TCGs from over the years. Before I get started, a little bit of news. As usual, there's a great Arcade Mark episode, I believe 30 minutes after this ends, so go check that out. Yes, come on, Black Lotus. If I could get an affordable revised pack, oh man, that would probably be disappointing because I'd probably crack a Pure Lace and end up statting out a Granite Gargoyle. But oh man, wouldn't that be something? Also, other little news. Usually, even here, I misdid the time. This week, Indie Finder Friday is going to be on Saturday, so we don't overlap with the Paizo stream. It will be Saturday at 4 p.m. We'll be looking at some free 2nd edition Pathfinder options from across the internet, public Discords, Reddits, what have you. Some amazingly cool homebrew stuff has been released for free over the last month, including most recently an entire conversion kit for D&D's Eberron for Pathfinder 2nd edition, which is huge. It's like a 150-something page conversion kit, and it's fantastic. Alright, but let's go ahead and look at what we got here. So I do have lots of packs from all over still, but I think I really just want to do Midnight Hunt because it's still really exciting. The themes in it are very resonant with everything Pathfinder, everything Ushtalov. So let's just go ahead and crack a Midnight Hunt. Usually I'd ask what pack you guys want, but I want Midnight Hunt so badly that I can't afford not to. So let's see what we got here. So we got Soul Guide Griff. Oh, that's really pretty, isn't it? A Hippogriff Spirit. That would be really fun to stat up, wouldn't it? Enters the battlefield, exile a target creature card from a graveyard. That would be interesting to have to think about what that would actually mean stat-wise. Oh, that is really bright. Hold on. There we go. That's much better. All right. Alright, so we have a Consider, we have a Siege Zombie. It's a barricade, made up of zombies. No, it gets through barricades. There we have it. Alright, so a zombie that gets through hazards would be an extremely niche creature for most parties to encounter. I suppose if you were doing a zombie siege style game, having one that could get through hazards like that would be something, all right. It would definitely become a major target for your PCs to have to fight off. We have here a vampire. It throws bloody daggers at people. That's pretty badass, I gotta admit. I'm liking it. Eccentric farmer. It's a farmer that uses giant centipedes to do stuff. All right. Pathfinder does like their centipedes, doesn't it? So that is another possibility. Here we have a human knight who has a squire with him. I'm cutting that right now because it's just going to be two creatures. It's a knight, it's a squire. Okay, neat. Here we have another hippogriff with Disturb. You may cast it from your graveyard. So this hippogriff, when it dies, turns into a hippogriff spirit. Yeah, the other hippogriff spirit would be much more interesting than that, I gotta admit. Phantom Carriage. Enters battlefield, search your library for a card to flashback or disturb and put it in your graveyard. So it literally carries over a spell to you. The centipede controls the farmer. Really? Careful now, you don't want to get the seed stuck to your feelers like last time. I like that idea. The centipede that controls the farmer. That is really cool. Man, I might just want to make that a centipede and then have the farmer just be, yeah, okay. So Centipede Farmer is currently winning this little race. Here we have a Contortionist Troop. There's a lot of stuff like that in Extinction Curse if you're looking for clowns and acrobats and whatnot. I think there's even an acrobat in the Game Mastery Guide, actually. All right. And, ooh, a multicolored card. Enters the battlefield, mill 2 cards. When you cast a spell from a graveyard, tap target creature you don't control. Devoted Graph Keeper. So it's a Grave Keeper. And when he dies, he turns into a Soul Keeper. Kind of cool, but I'm just not feeling it as much as I am now with the Eccentric Farmer. Curse of Silence, and our rare is a Curse. Oh, and we got a foil rare, because I did in fact open more pre-release kits. Thus, so far, every pre-release booster I've opened for this set has been either a foil rare or a mythic. So, yeah. I'm not that surprised. You could sacrifice it to counter a spell, and when you do, he transforms into a Spirit Wizard. Spirit Wizard. Non-creature spells you control can't be countered if he'd be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exiled. That's not that bad of a creature type either, actually. I gotta admit, having like a wizard NPC who, when he dies, he immediately comes back as a ghost, and reactions can't be used against spells that he casts as long as he's a ghost. I could see that. Usually those are reserved for like custom built, though. Honestly, I can't see that in a bestiary, just because like that's something you want to build yourself. Monsters with fake hit point bars that change the battle music, and then you got to fight them a second time. That's something you usually want to build for yourself, and it's very dependent on what your party composition is. Very dependent on how much time your party will usually need. If you could only give them 1 or 2 rounds between the fights, would that give them that much of an advantage? There's a lot of things you got to think about that here. Of course, with this, the first one wouldn't even be so much of a fight. He would just be like an extra sitting on the sidelines who could counter one spell. I don't know. It's not doing it for me as much as the eccentric farmer. I'm enjoying the idea of this eccentric farmer, so we're gonna go ahead with it. All right. So eccentric farmer, which, as Technological Pizza said, is in fact secretly a centipede controlling the farmer. Mindless things can control. I know a lot of people will be like, well, if a centipede's mindless, how is he controlling? Yeah, well, look at the real world. We got a lot of creepy stuff in the insect and even fungus world that will compel certain acts out of other creatures in order to further themselves. Let's just go ahead and pop this up on the stream. Oh, I gotta change the scene. There we have it. All right, so we did the Skrillex last week. There's an updated one, I believe, on Twitter that does actually lower spells, auto-heighten spells, I think it does. Because the original one that I made on here, I forgot to set them auto-heighten spells. So let's just switch that over to our farmer. There's eccentric farmer. All right, so when he enters the battlefield, you mill 3 cards, and then you could return a land from your graveyard to your hand. Mill usually does involve going through the trash for stuff, dredging stuff up. I know this card itself is the peasant, but like I said, I just love the idea of the centipede being the actual thing in control. And I've always wanted to see about creating creature minions in the stat block line. There are some creatures that do it, like the Arboreal Regent, but having it make a humanoid, that's actually kind of interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and open up a similar monster first. So we're going to duplicate monster. No, we're going to... Oh, man, what's it called? Open the collection. No. Why am I not... Open URL. There we have it. And there is a centipede. Centipede. Giant centipede. Yeah. All right, so usually giant centipede is a -1. We're going to buff that, definitely, but we want to look at this just to get a feeling for its stats. They have super high dexterity, pretty low everything else, which is fine because their offensive ability is finessable. This one is a giant centipede, though, so we're going to actually make this a level 3. We're going to make this a level 3. It's still neutral because it is still just a animal, or, yeah, still is just an animal. No languages, no other traits necessary on this. However, now that it's level 3, it will have a little bit more dexterity. I'm going to give it a little bit more strength. Rather than -1, we're just going to give it a 1, because this thing's big enough to eat through a pumpkin. It is not just using dexterity here. We're going to give it 2 con, because he does have 3 toughness on the card. The intelligence will remain -5. Charisma's going to go up just a little, because this thing does exert its will on things. It's probably going to do it using some kind of spore. No, poison. No, it's going to do it with the poison. Of course, it's a centipede. So mind-controlling poison centipede. I like where that's going. Wisdom, we'll leave wisdom at 1. You're fine. You're just a centipede. So armor class, yeah, 18 is fine. Fortitude will go up. Reflex is going to be really high on this guy. Let's lower the fortitude just a little to like +7. And then the will save will be low. So, well, he does take control of people. I don't want to have... He can't have saves that high. So we'll save at 14. Hit points will be on the low end, because this thing will have a minion protecting it, as you'll see shortly. Careful now, you don't want to get the seed stuck to your feelers. Alright, cool. It will have a climb speed, 30-foot speed. That's all good. For attack, we're going to give him a +10. It will do 1d8 +1 because that will be its strength. Actually, let's make the strength 0 and just have it do 1d8. Yeah, I like that. So 1d8, piercing plus, let's call it, giant centipede venom. Oh, we need to give this a name. Eccentric centipede? No, let's just give this mind-bending centipede plus mind-bending venom. And we will call this our mind-bending centipede. Excellent. It's so out of flavor for green, but I don't care. It's just such a cute idea of, because I could almost see this story evolving over time where, like, it's not necessarily that the centipede bit her and now she's under its control so much as it was a gradual dose of these poisons after getting to know it for a while. I kind of like that idea a little. Like, they do have a somewhat symbiotic relationship. Excuse me for that. They do have a somewhat symbiotic relationship here after all. The centipede would probably help defend the farm while the farmer grows food for it. Alright, so we are immediately going to rename this Mind-Bending Venom. The DC will have to be higher because it is a higher level creature, probably 17. So let's give it a DC 17 Fortitude. It's still going to be a Fortitude poison. I'll explain why shortly. So this will be a Fortitude poison that makes you clumsy. Yeah, I like that a lot. Alright, so the stage 1, because I don't want this to damage. You know, this isn't a damaging poison like normal centipede poison. So this will give you clumsy 1. What, clumsy? Let me look at conditions really quick. There's nothing wrong with having to relook over your conditions in case there might be something better. Is there something that immediately makes you status penalty? Yeah, I don't like clumsy. Let's go with enfeebled. It's strength-based melee attack rolls. Yeah, I like that. Alright, so it's going to make you enfeebled because you are physically weakened. That's fine. So stage 1 will be enfeebled 1 for 1 round. Maximum duration. Let's get rid of maximum duration, and you'll see why. So stage 1, you'll become enfeebled 1 for 1 round. Stage 2... you become enfeebled 2. Let's do enfeebled 1 for 2 rounds, and then enfeebled 2 for 2 rounds. That might also make you... Let's also have it make you clumsy, sure. Or, is there something better than that? Fascinated? What's like a lesser fascinated? Because I'm thinking this will eventually make you fascinated. Maybe we should just do fascinated now. I mean, it's not going to be attacking you if you're... I guess stupefied. Yeah, it needs to be stupefied. So enfeebled 1... and stupefied 1. And then stage 2 will be enfeebled 2 and stupefied 2 for 2 rounds. And then stage 3 will be fascinated. Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm not 100% sure how fascinated would work with poison. We're going to double check because I don't think I've seen one. You take a penalty to perception checks, and you can't use the actions of the concentrate trait unless their intended consequences are related to the subject of your fascination. For example, you can still seek and recall knowledge of the subject, but you couldn't cast a spell targeting a different creature. Oh, so even if you're fascinated with the centipede, you're still probably going to attack it. I almost feel like saying you should be helpful, but I don't think you could do that to NPCs. Let's look up Charm real quick. Double checking the failure conditions of Charm. Usually with Charm, unaffected, becomes friendly towards you, becomes helpful towards you. Fascinated. Let's go stage 3 fascinated, stage 4 fascinated, and friendly. Okay, so stage 3 should be enfeebled 2, stupefied 2, and fascinated. Okay, I promised I would explain more of my theories here. So the idea here is the centipede bites you, you become more enfeebled and stupefied. That way both spellcasters and strength-based characters are going to be unable to do damage around it. Stage 2, a little more so. Stage 3, you're also fascinated, so now you're focusing on the centipede. And then stage 4, you become fascinated and friendly. So you're now friendly toward the centipede, and you can't target other creatures. That's how the centipede is helping the farmer, which we're going to get to the farmer shortly. So it could bite you, it gives you the poison, and now you're going to stare at the stupid centipede rather than attacking the farmer, who you're free to make the farmer any kind of creature you want, but we are going to make a specific creature here. Symbiosis. Let's just say friendly farmer. Alright, so this will be a general ability. No, this is going to be under offense, but it's like down there. There's this special kind of category of monster ability where it's like, it's not an offensive ability, but it's not general, it's not defensive. It goes below the stat line, which is what this will be. And on PF2 tools, which is what I'm using now, you basically have to set it to offense and then just always drag it down to the bottom. This will probably be the only other ability it has, since this will be the representative of the mill ability. But to do this, I'm going to go ahead and look really quick at creatures. And then when you click on creatures, you click on NPCs. And I'm going to look up Farmer. Farmer is a level 0 creature, which would make it appropriate as an additional minion to this creature. They usually have Pitched Bale, which is their last action is Pitchfork Strike. Oh, Mill ability in Magic, yes. In Magic, Mill lets you take the top cards of your deck and put them directly into your graveyard. Which, in this case, he has an additional ability where you could pick a land that you discarded this way and add it to your hand. The advantages to Mill over just drawing, like in this case, you could say look at the top 3 and put a land in your hand, but this way you get cards in your graveyard, which you could access through abilities like Flashback, that say cast a card from your graveyard, or reanimation abilities. So this gives you the ability to access like zombies that come back from the graveyard, spells that could be cast from the graveyard. Also, increasing the number of cards in your graveyard will increase the power of abilities that say count the number of cards in your graveyard and do something with that number. Like, target creature gets +1 for every creature card in your graveyard. So, yeah. It usually represents, Mill thematically will represent one of two things. Either losing your mind, your spells literally being dumped out of your brain, or, for green and black, dead creatures being dredged up from ancient battlefields that predate your duel with the enemy, things going directly to the graveyard, things being recycled. It's a trash heap. Which, now that I say that, trash heap would be a great name for a monster ability. I think I'm going to use that for this. Alright, so thank you for asking, because that is absolutely perfect. And I want to look, I think there is something that has the ability to trash heap. Trash heap. I may think it's an Oglyth. No, there isn't. There is no monster in Pathfinder Bestiary 1, 2, or 3 that has an ability with the word trash in it. That's interesting. Alright, so Friendly Farmer. Oh, let me look up Arboreal Regent. Because making monsters with minions is weird. Weird but cool. And I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Alright, the mind-bending centipede is accompanied by a farmer under its control. By a farmer that fights with it as a minion using the statistics for a farmer. Which farmer is a NPC from the Game Mastery Guide. They're a 0-level creature that has a pitchfork and an apple. They can throw the apple at people, and their pitchfork does damage, and they can hit someone with a pitchfork and then make them prone by flipping them over. The farmer moves the creature, they hit their pitchfork up to 5 feet, and they fall prone. Yeah, cool. Which, does she have a pitchfork in this art? She has a wagon. Probably has a pitchfork. Uses apples. I don't know. I think I like wagon full or pumpkins. I like wagons full of pumpkins though. Using the statistics for a farmer. Now, odds are this farmer will want to remain at range to some extent. Which they do have the apple in here, but the apple's really weak. I almost feel like this farmer needs to be just a little bit stronger to be a worthwhile minion. Otherwise, I don't see the centipede bothering to use its actions to command the farmer to do anything. So let's say the farmer has a wagon full of pumpkins that can be thrown instead of apples. because usually the farmer has apples. Dealing 1d6 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. There we go. I don't think that's worded right. I should say pumpkin, agile, non-lethal, thrown 20 feet, 1d6 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. There we go. Alright, so the farmer has pumpkins it can throw at people. It is under control of the centipede. Don't really have anything yet for the mill, though. Oh, okay, I got it. So for mill, accidentally throw centipede eggs. Okay, for the mill, I think we have centipede eggs. I like that. Alright, so let's call it Wicked Harvest. Let's make this an offensive non-action, 1 minute action. Let's make this a 3 action. So if it does this, it can't control the farmer. I don't like that. Let's make this a 2 action then. Because if you do all 3 actions, it won't be able to command the farmer. Well, let's give it 3 actions, and let's put something on there that lets it command the farmer anyway. I kind of like that. So manipulate. The centipede feasts on the remains of a thrown pumpkin. The centipede strides to the square where a pumpkin strike, hit, or missed. Tries to the same square as a pumpkin strike, as the target of a pumpkin strike. The target of a pumpkin strike. There we go. And begins eating the pumpkin. It gains 1d4 plus 2 temporary hit points. And the pumpkin becomes infested. In 1d6 rounds, what level is a centipede swarm? I want the pumpkin to become infested with eggs and then burst out in a centipede swarm. In 1d6 rounds, should I say non-destroyed pumpkin, becomes infested. If left undisturbed. An infested pumpkin. Now let me look up centipede swarm is level 3. Ooh, that's too high level. What is the lowest level swarm? You know, that is too high of a level, but if I make you a level 4 threat, I think it's okay to have the centipede swarm. Because it has the stats of level 3 creature. A level 4 encounter with 2 level 3s, potentially, and a level 1. It's that potentially that gets me that I don't like. Let's make this 1d... How many rounds was this? It gains 1d4 temporary hit points and the pumpkin is resisted. Infested pumpkin will create... Oh, I could say weak. Oh, yeah, I could just say weak. An infested pumpkin will burst forth with a weak centipede swarm in 1d4 rounds. I'm using 1d4 because when the centipede eats the pumpkin, the GM could just roll 1d4, and that d4 could be used for both the healing of the temporary hit points and for the centipede swarm. So there you have it. The centipede may then... Oh, let's not do that then. Okay, the centipede strides to the same square as the target of a pumpkin strike, or commands the friendly farmer to bring it a pumpkin, and begins eating the pumpkin. Okay, great. So this way, the centipede for 3 actions could either move to a pumpkin that was thrown and just eat it, or command the farmer to take a pumpkin, bring it over to him, and hand it to it, which... there's some battlefield tacticals there. As a GM, you could choose, like, do I want the farmer to remove to where the centipede is, or do I want the centipede to move to where the pumpkin is and the farmer just to stand around doing nothing for a round? Which, all right. This is begins eating the pumpkin. It gains temporary hit points. You roll the d4, and in 1d4 rounds, the pumpkin will burst out, and centipede swarm will be added to the fight. I believe this will make it a weak centipede swarm, which is the equivalent of a level 2 monster. Ish. Which I believe by the encounter builder, I think a level 0, a level 2, and a level 3, I think that would still pretty much be like a level 3. It's almost like a 3.5. I don't mind making this a level 4, though. I'm going to give it some more hit points, is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give this like 48 hit points. And I'm going to make this immune to poison. Which, that's not really going to affect much, but I like it. All right, I like it here. Oh, I almost forgot it's skills. We got to increase those skills. Oh, and perception is really low on this sucker. Let's get that higher. And then skills, we have acrobatics will be high. Athletics will be pretty low, actually, but I like always putting athletics on a creature. Stealth will be pretty high. I'm surprised about how high stealth is on this. Let's give it a little higher, actually. Yeah, it's Dexy, so yeah, stealth being high does make sense. I don't think it needs anything else. No, it's a mindless animal, so we're good. Are centipedes mindless? They're not mindless. Yeah, they have a mind. Okay. All right, well, there we have it. A mind-bending centipede. I really enjoyed really pushing what it means to create a monster based on the card you pull. This opens up some design space even for some non-monster cards that depict monsters that I might be inspired to create. So thank you very much, Technological Pizza, for everything you put into this. This was a fantastically fun show. In about 30 minutes, you could head over to the Arcane Mark Twitch channel and totally check them out because it's one of my favorite shows. On Friday, Paizo Friday, we'll be having a big show, hopefully with new information. We'll have to find out. Wednesday, tomorrow, is No Direction. We'll be doing a special, I believe, on Pathfinder Infinite or Starfinder Infinite. If it's Beyond, not 1,000,000% sure there. I think it's No Direction, and I think it's on Pathfinder Infinite, so check that out, definitely. I'm actually super excited about Pathfinder Infinite. I've already seen Vanessa Hoskins' novel line, light novel line. Looks really fun. Can't wait to get a hold of that. And I already have some other authors coming to me wanting to collaborate on some great Pathfinder Infinite products that can't be talked about yet, but when they can, I'll bring them up. Other than that, I've been having an actually pretty good week. I hope you all have too. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, talk about this, and do whatever it is you like to do with your favorite streams. I'm just glad to have a place where I could practice streaming, and you will see this monster up on Twitter and all my various Discords probably within the next hour. So thank you yet again, and have yourself a